Hi people, it's me Anja, my pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new reading vlog. My family and I are currently traveling in Cancun, Mexico, and I'm currently reading I'll Find You Where the Timeline Ends. This story is a YA, like urban science fiction fantasy, because it follows a young main character who's a descendant of the dragon god, and basically all the descendants of the dragons like become time travelers, except that she's recently received information that maybe her job isn't all that it's cracked up to be, but like she's almost stuck in it because she doesn't have any other options for a career or for school or anything. So I think maybe her internal monologue later on will be that she feels trapped, but I also know the synopsis suggests that she's going to find her missing sister because her sister has been erased from all timelines. So that's interesting. Anyway, I'm like 3 chapters in so far, and you know, today's December 30th, so I'm running out of time to, you know, read more books this year, if you know what I mean. So it's not that I'm not enjoying this book, I genuinely am, but also I can't afford to be picky at this current time. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think I'm gonna rate it 3 stars, maybe 4. I don't know. I've read other books before by this author, more of her YA Asian fantasies in the past. I forgot what they're called though, because I think I read a duology by her a few years ago, if I'm remembering correctly. But then her book right before this, I DNF'd, which I think was a standalone. I don't know. Anyway, me and Tate McRae are going to stay around here and read. And also, if you're wondering, my shirt is fan-made merchandise, which is why it's not like official merchandise. It's from Etsy, in case you're wondering. But anyway, here we are. And yes, my hair looks messy because I braided it while wet in the shower, so now it's just dry and it looks like this. I might unbraid it by the end of the day, I don't know. But yeah, there I am. Hi people, so it's now the afternoon. My thoughts so far on this book is that like I was expecting her trying to find her sister would be the main A plot and then the romance would be the B plot, but it's definitely reversed. And I'm not as interested in the romance as I would have thought, just because there's a weird almost love triangle, except that the first guy that she meets is like her assignment, and the second guy, the rogue agent, is the guy that she's supposed to, I'm assuming, be endgame with. But it's like kind of confusing regarding like the time travel elements too, because I don't know, the science behind the time travel is kind of confusing with the multiple timelines and which one is supposed to be like correct, especially given how like the rogue agent basically told her that her current job isn't what she thinks that it is. And he would know this because he's a rogue agent. But I just discovered a plot twist about him and that maybe he's tricking her too. I don't know. Maybe she just got double-crossed or something. I don't really understand it all. And I don't really understand like her job told her that she's supposed to like correct the timeline and restore it, but then he told her contradicting information, essentially. And like, she still has to do her final assignment from her job because she recently passed like a certain threshold given the assignment of like the first boy, not the rogue agent, but the other love interest, I guess. And like, also she keeps running into versions of herself, which is really confusing. Why are there versions of herself that she keeps running into that she's never like encountered before? I don't really understand this. The world building, I would say, is kind of confusing, which means the romance is underdeveloped and the character is also underdeveloped too. And yeah, I don't really understand how her sister plays into any of this. Like, she doesn't remember like growing up with a sister or anything like that, so her like memories are kind of stilted. Like, she remembers, she says, the absence of having a sister, but she hasn't had a sister actually ever, so she's trying to find her supposedly, but she hasn't made any progress in that area at all because, again, the main A plot is this romance with this guy, and he told her that like he will help her find her sister, but like maybe he won't, and maybe she shouldn't have trusted him because they've made no headway in that at all. So yeah, there's that. Hi, so I finished I'll Find You Where the Timeline Ends, and I rated it 3 stars because, first of all, the sister storyline did not go the way that I was expecting it to go, and the romance, like I mentioned earlier, I wasn't as invested in it as I was really supposed to be, and I wish I had known how romance-driven and less, like, I don't know, platonic relationship sister-driven it would have been beforehand, because maybe I would have enjoyed it more. But I don't know still, because like the time traveling science fiction is still very kind of confusing. So I don't know if I would have enjoyed this book more had I known what direction the story was going to go beforehand. I don't know, I think I've mentioned this before, but I don't really enjoy surprises, and this book was kind of a bad surprise, so I rated it 3 stars, and now I'm currently reading Arcane Inheritance, which was on my winter TBR, which I filmed like in July or something, and I uploaded it in August. So basically, for those who don't know, this book is a YA dark academia urban fantasy horror book. It follows a black college freshman who's going to this elite school, and there's like secret societies and magic, and she's starting to feel deja vu, which is really weird for her, obviously, because she thinks that she's never been here before, but then she's starting to think that maybe she has, which is strange. So that's exciting. Hi everyone, so I'm about to head to bed, but I wanted to quickly say my thoughts on Arcane Inheritance before I went to bed. First of all, I misspoke earlier. This book is technically a new adult urban dark academia fantasy, not YA, although it reads like a YA if I'm being honest. But yeah, all the characters are in their early 20s. So yeah, the main character is a college freshman, but she's also 21 because she started college later than her peers, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I rated this book 3 stars because the magic system felt really underdeveloped, and I didn't quite understand it until it was too late. Like, there was so much buildup, and it's not quite explained fully until like the last third, and I wish that it had been explained earlier, if that makes any sense. And all the conversations surrounding like classism and racism and PWIs and all that stuff felt very surface level, and I wish that it had been deeper, if that makes any sense. As for the diverse cast and everything, like, I enjoyed that, but it just felt very surface level, and it was just not what I was expecting at all. and in a bad way. I had really high expectations for this book because I've read the So Let Them Bone duology by this author, and the second book in that duology is one of my favorites of last year, or was it this year? I don't remember. Anyway, that duology is so good, so rich, so stunning, and this book was advertised to me as Babel, which is one of my favorite books, meets A Deadly Education, I think, which I've never read. So anyway, I was expecting this book to be much deeper, much better, and it just wasn't at all. And I didn't really care for the romance that much. So yeah, in general, I would recommend this book maybe for fans of Immortal Dog, because I like this book as much as I liked Immortal Dog. In fact, maybe I disliked this book more, because this book definitely disappointed me more than Immortal Dog did. So anyway, that's not a compliment, as you know if you've seen that reading vlog. But anyway, basically, I rated this book 3 stars. This book will show up in my Worst Books of 2025 video that I'll be filming when I get home. And I will also be filming my Best Books of 2025 when I get home as well. But anyway, there's that. Good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hi people, so it's currently the next day, and I've decided that even though I might not read the amount of books that I want to this year, or rather this month, my goal was to read 3 more books, including my current read, before the year ends. But today is already December 31st, so I'm literally running out of time, unless I can finish 3 more books by tonight, which I could do, but I don't know if I really want to push myself, you know what I mean? Anyway, all that to say, I've changed my goal, although that one is still in the back of my head, to not finish 2025 on a horrible note, because the last book I read was so disappointing. So anyway, the first book that I'm reading today is Meet Me on Love Street, which is a YA contemporary following a pansexual South Asian main character, and she's trying to save her town, or her shop, her family's shop, because it's getting taken over by gentrification, because she's afraid that her mom is moving but hasn't told her yet. So that's exciting. And she's a very romance-driven, lighthearted person. So I'm curious as to how the tone will feel when it comes to these more serious topics. You know what I mean? Because I'm thinking that the ending will be happy, but also bittersweet. You know what I mean? Anyway, I have super low expectations for this book because I don't think I've read anything before by this author, or maybe I've DNF'd something in the past. I know that this is not their debut. So anyway, there's that. Hi people, so I have a reading update. First of all, I finished Meet Me on Love Street I thought it was really good. I rated it 4 stars. A nice solid rom-com is exactly what I wanted, especially after reading a slew of like really disappointing 3-star books. But anyway, I really enjoyed the characters, the plot, the romance, the family dynamics, the friendships, the pacing, the writing, like everything about it was so good and so well developed. So anyway, with that said, I rated that book 4 stars, and I would definitely highly recommend it. And now I'm currently reading Asterwood, which is a middle grade like portal fantasy. It follows a young main character whom, to her knowledge, lives with her single dad, but she's also the chosen one of this secret world found through the forest that of course her father has forbidden her to enter, which I think is really interesting. I've always loved the idea of like finding a fantastical world through a mundane entrance, like Narnia, for example. Like, I haven't seen any of the Narnia movies, but I have read all 7 books, and I do think that Narnia is such a magical, like, untapped gem, if that makes any sense. I don't know, there are so many threads of Narnia that C.S. Lewis never developed, and I wish that he did, and I feel like people don't really talk about it. I don't know, I'm not actually in the Narnia fandom, but like, I'm assuming, since again, I've never seen the movies, but I feel like most people associate Narnia with maybe like the books that the movies adapted, but not any of the other books. Like, people don't really talk about The Silver Chair or Don Treadle or like any of the later books, if that makes any sense. But also, maybe I'm wrong, because again, I'm not actually in the fandom. I don't consider myself an active member of the Narnia fandom. But anyway, I could be. I haven't actually read the books in like 10 years. But anyway, all that to say, this book is good so far. I love reading middle-grade fantasy, so I hope that I can finish this book and maybe one other before the year ends. So here we are. Hi. So, a reading update. I finished my book. I rated it 3 stars. The next book I'm gonna read is called Every Borrowed Beat. It's a YA contemporary following a young main character who just got a heart transplant. So she wasn't expecting to live. She was expecting to die, which is very sad. But now she's living her new life unexpectedly, and she doesn't quite know what to do, I think, is the point. And I think she's trying to find the family of the person who gave her her new heart. So that's fun. Hence why it's called Every Borrowed Beat, like a heartbeat. I don't know if I've read anything before by this author, so I don't know if I have high expectations or low expectations. But I think this might be the last book that I read this year, so that's exciting. Second of all, my period decided to start, so that's not exciting. But I think this happened last year too. I think I don't know. I think the last time I was on vacation, my period started in the middle of it. So, fun times for me. Anyway, there's that. I think I might take a nap soon. I don't know. Those are my plans. Hi people. I would say that I'm ready to go to bed now, but I'm not, because since Pink Pony Club is playing outside, as well as a plethora of other music, I feel like I'm going to stay up reading. Unlike some people, like at this hotel, staying up partying, I'm staying up reading because I'm not like other girls. And anyway, I finished Every Borrowed Beat and I rated it 3 stars because I think it's like mid. Like, I rated it 3 stars because it's just okay. It's just mid and just okay. anyway, now I'm currently reading Night of the Raven, Dawn of the Dove, which is a YA South Asian inspired fantasy, and it came out either in 2022 or 2023, and I feel like it always shows up on lists of like underrated gems, and I don't exactly have any reading goals for 2026, but I think that I want to read more books that I actually want to read and less books that I think, or that less books that I know won't be really good just because they're super popular, because most of the time when a book is super popular, I tend to not really enjoy it. For example, last year in 2025, I feel like The Will of the Many and The Raven Scholar showed up a lot in the book spaces that I happen to be in, and all of my friends were really enjoying them, but I don't think I will ever read those books specifically because I don't think they're my vibe. Like, adult fantasy is not really a genre that I've really dipped my toe into, for good reason, because the majority of the super popular ones at least tend to be so, I don't know, boy heavy, white, straight, like I don't want to read any of that. So anyway, yeah, I'm enjoying this book so far, but with, again, Pink Pony Club over there, like, that's my soundtrack right now, as well as whatever songs will play next. So I hope that you can't hear that actually, because I don't want to get copyrighted, but yeah, that's my current read at the moment. Hi people, it's the next day. Happy New Year. I have no reading updates because I could not read last night due to how loud the music and the fireworks were. I couldn't even go to sleep early like I wanted to, so I don't have a reading update, unfortunately. I hope to read more on the beach today. People, so it's the next day, and as for my reading update, I DNF'd the book that I was reading yesterday just because I decided that it just wasn't for me. I was more than halfway through it and I wasn't enjoying it as much as I anticipated. Second of all, I'm going to end this video here just because we do leave tomorrow, so I didn't really want to film more today than I really needed to, if that makes any sense. So anyway, let me know if you want to see more or less reading vlogs in 2026. I feel like the reading vlogs that people tend to be more invested in are the ones where I'm reading books that they're interested in. But the thing is that most of the time I'm reading books that nobody's really heard of, so they haven't decided yet whether or not they're interested in it beforehand, if that makes any sense. So it's hard to gauge whether or not my audience will really enjoy a reading vlog before I've done it, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I'm going to reassess like my reading stats and my YouTube stats over 2025 when I get home, because I have to film my best books of 2025, my worst books of 2025, and also my 2025 reading wrap up when I get home, as well as my most anticipated 2026 new releases, as well as filming, I don't know, I have so much to film when I get home, basically. I also have to edit this video, so I have my work cut out for me, but I'm excited. And with that said, my trip in Mexico has been so far very fun. The staff and the employees here at this resort have been so welcoming and so nice. I know that you could argue that like that's their job, but like you can tell, as someone who's worked in customer service, like you can tell which employees genuinely enjoy it and which ones like are doing the bare minimum, if that makes any sense. But anyway, in conclusion, if you enjoy this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the fish emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Any of the fishes, frankly. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.